Good morning. It's currently 6:42 a.m. on Monday, June 1st, 2015. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. Oddly enough, I am more tired right now, having gotten up when I did, than on the weekend where I slept in. I'm beginning to sense a pattern. Um, yeah, I am actually still really tired. I need some caffeine, but I inadvertently allowed myself to run out of caffeine causing things, containing things, over the weekend. So I've not been able to wake myself up much yet. Um, that'll be fine. Once I go take a shower, that'll help, and then I pick up a Diet Coke or something on the way to work. But last night, or yesterday, I guess, featured some excellent TV. Um, Technically, it was actually aired on Saturday, but I watched yesterday the most recent episode of Orphan Black, which I just thought was amazing. And it's one of the things that I really like from that show. I mean, the serious conspiracy elements of the main plot line are interesting too, but just the farce element of combining Allison's run for school trustee and her relationship with Donnie and her mother, and then Jade thrown into that mix, and the whole drug element, and just the farce aspect of having Cosima try to have to play Allison, which is a combination I don't think we've had to do before, and just it was so well directed. And of course, that also featured Sarah and Helena meeting up with Mrs. S again. We got, I think it's David teaching Agricola to Rachel. If you don't watch Orphan Black, none of this means anything to you. But suffice it to say that it was one of my favorite episodes of Orphan Black in a long time. And then Game of Thrones. What? Um, the last episode I had felt was an improvement over the previous one, which I really didn't like very much at all. But this episode really just like it brought me all the way back around to like, now this is what I like. This is what I'm talking about. Like, why have it be more like this, please, Game of Thrones? Um, this episode was really great. I won't necessarily get into the spoilers of it. If you like, to the extent that you would care about hearing about it right now, you probably already watch or don't watch the show. And so the people who would, so I won't get into like all of the spoiler details of it, except just to say that this particular episode was already great, if a little uneven, just because it was jumping around from a lot of different locations with less obvious flow to it in some cases. But it was already showing us lots of great stuff even before we got to that last 15-20 minutes, which just kind of blew me away, because it's definitely interesting as someone who's read the books to be watching this show and no longer knowing what's likely to come next. I mean, to some extent, the events that happen at the end of this episode were, semi-predictable, like in the sense that you could guess that maybe something of that type might happen, but the scale of it was an order of magnitude beyond what I expected it to be. And it was really exciting and well produced, and I was just enormously pleased with it. The other thing that maybe I'll mention, this is actually something I was going to mention yesterday, but then, I exceeded my 5 minutes, which I've already done today, actually, so I'll be brief with it, is just to say that I've heard people talking a lot about The Witcher 3, which is a role-playing video game that is recent to release, and lots of people are very excited about it. And I decided, or hearing about it actually just made me realize how I had purchased and played the beginning of the original Witcher game a couple of years ago and had liked it, but then just fell away without playing all that much of it. Not for any dislike of it, but just, it was just not the right time, I guess. I was just busy with other things and never got back to it. And so I decided that instead of trying to jump to 3, which would be, an expensive $60, I could also just try getting back into the first one, which so far I did start it over rather than starting at my previous save game. And I'm not quite back up to where I had gotten the last time. Almost, but not quite. And I'm glad that I'm doing it because I'm definitely enjoying even this one, which, it's certainly not as pretty as the new one, given that this game is several years old at this point. But I'm liking it, and I'm not regretting my decision to go back and try to play that one rather than jumping to 3. So I think that'll probably do it for today. Remember, you can find all my stuff at christianaellis.com, and I will talk to you tomorrow for 5 more minutes.